One of the best ways to instantly add some charm to a video game is to let the player interact with the game right from the title screen. Nintendo is great at this, from the file select screen being a 2D platformer in Super Mario Sunshine, to the iconic interactable Mario head in Super Mario 64. A recent title screen that caught my eye was for Trouble Juice, which currently has a free demo on Steam. It's one of those great roguelikes that makes you want to keep playing to try out every combination of abilities. But what captured me, even before I played the game, was the title screen. As you navigate the main menu, you also control a fly which repels these little circles which make up the title. I was super inspired by the idea of turning the title text into an interactable object, and so I put together this demo, and in the rest of the video I'll explain how it was made and how you can mess around with this effect as well. The first thing I'm going to do when I open GameMaker is make a font. I'm just going to use Comic Sans and make it fairly big, size 128. Then I'll make an object called obj_control and just place it in a 1024x576 room. Of course, all the values I'm using are up to you to tweak so that it looks exactly how you want it. Now in the object, we're going to make a create event to create all of our balls. Let's start by defining a local variable storing our color. This color should be unique to the text because later we'll create balls wherever this color shows up. Next, just set your draw parameters, so let's use our font. Draw using that color and align it to the horizontal and vertical center. Finally, draw some text at the center of the room. You can use \n to create a line break, and I'm adding spaces in between the characters just for some visual effect. Moving on to creating the balls, we'll create an empty array called balls. Then we'll make a local variable O for offset, which will be a random offset to make the text less rigid, and also a variable res for the resolution of our balls. 4 means we'll create a ball for every 16 pixels of the screen where we want our text to appear. The last thing we'll do in this event is use 2 for loops to loop through the room width and height, incrementing I and j with the value res. Use the function drawGetPixel to get the color of the pixel at the position ij, and then if that value is the same as the color we chose earlier, push a new ball to the array balls. As arguments in this ball function, pass I and j, but with a random value between -O and +O. Don't worry about GameMaker telling you there's an error with new ball, because we'll create the function now. Go ahead and create a script called functions, and in it, create a constructor function called balls that takes x and y values as arguments. What we're doing here is creating a struct to represent a ball. A struct is a variable which holds other variables, and we're using them to represent circles, which are only defined by a position and a radius. Structs are useful because we don't need to check for collisions or anything between the structs. All the extra functionality of objects would just be wasted processing time when all we need to check is the distance and direction between a couple points. Inside the struct, we're going to set x and y to the original x and y values. Then we'll create an array called range with 2 values. The first is the smallest size the circle can be, and the second value will be the maximum size we can increase the circle by. We'll use this when we start changing the size of the balls. Then create a variable for the size and create a time variable with some random number. Below this, we're going to create a function called update, which will update the position and size of the ball. First, we'll work out the distance between the initial position and the mouse, and divide this by a big number so the effect of the mouse is not too big. Then we'll take a smaller number and take away the distance from that. In this case, 32 is how far away the balls will get from the mouse. Next, simply work out the direction from the initial position to the mouse, and then you can set x and y to the initial position minus the distance it should be moved, using the length_dir functions, which do some trigonometry behind the scenes. Finally, set the size to the first value of range plus sign times ++ over 10, which will give us a value slowly moving from -1 to 1 and back to -1. Then add 1 and divide by 2, so the value is always between 0 and 1. Then you can times this by the second value of range. Now create another function called draw. In here, first set the draw color to something between lime and blue. We can use the merge color function to blend these two colors together, and again get the distance and divide it by some relatively big number. Just make sure to clamp the distance between 0 and 1 so we never loop back to lime when the value is greater than 1. Finally, draw a circle at x and y with radius size and set the outline flag to false. The last thing we need to do is go into the step event of the object and use a for loop to loop through our balls array and then run the update function on each of these balls. Then duplicate this event and change it so we run the draw function on the balls. The last optional step we'll do is go to the room editor, click the instances layer and add the outline effect. You can tweak these values, but I'm setting them both to 2 for now. This effect will run on the whole layer and not just on the individual balls, so it should make the text look more like a contiguous mass. At last, you can run the game, and you should see as the mouse gets closer to the ball, they start to move away, and when we're in the center of a cluster, they create this circular void. You should also see the balls are all random sizes that slowly grow and shrink over time, and the color fades from lime to blue as they get further away from the mouse. Anyway, that's it for this tutorial. I hope it's been helpful. If you've been following along and implementing this for yourselves, I hope you're happy with the result and understand how everything works. If not, please drop a comment and I'll endeavor to fix a bug or explain myself better. If you make anything cool, make sure to share it in the comments. If you want to see more kinds of these videos, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Make sure to leave a comment about the video, about my code, or with any ideas for future topics you'd like to see covered on this channel. That's all from me. I'll see you in the next video.